Update. Am I wrong for ultimately wanting a divorce even after my wife has showed much more effort into our relationship? Original post. For context, coming into the new year, I had no idea my wife had been at the bare minimum having an emotional affair with a coworker. On New Year's Eve, before I found out about this, she came home and acted extremely cold toward me and our kids. She was angry. Earlier on that evening, she asked if she could go out to have one drink with a female coworker whom I knew and trusted. I told her that was cool, but that the kids were staying up for the ball drop, so as long as she could be back to celebrate with them, I was fine with it. Well, she ended up getting off of work at 11:30 and barely had enough time to get home. After the ball drop, she cried and cried. I asked her what was wrong, and she said she got invited to a friend's house to have drinks with them. All three of them women, all married. I had no issue. I said, "Look, I'm not sure what's wrong and why you're crying about this. That's fine. You deserve a girls' night out every once in a while. I don't mind watching the kids. Just go." I put the kids to bed. She left, and then about 3 hours later, so 3 a.m., I tried to contact her. No answer. I wait about 15 minutes, call her again. No answer. I call her friend who she's supposed to be with. No answer. She then texts me back 5 minutes later and says, "Yeah, I'm still coming home tonight. We're still drinking." Never in our 6 years of marriage had I felt a gut feeling that something else was going on, but that night it all hit me. I went through our phone records and found another number I was unfamiliar with that she had been in contact with all night, ignoring my calls, texting that number in between, etc. She had also been texting this number for a 3-month period daily. I never suspected that she would be texting another dude while right beside me watching family movies either, as times had shown. How I didn't see this? I have no idea. Maybe she had this individual listed as mom in her phone? I don't know. I had never gotten this vibe or feeling our entire marriage. I was blindsided by it. Anyway, I confront her about it through text with a proof, like an idiot. She speeds home, deletes everything on her phone. No way of getting the backups restored. No way of ever knowing she did not meet up with this guy. Upon finding this out, I immediately told her I want a divorce. It was at this point she began getting violent with me, talking crap about everything I had been doing to keep us financially stable. The 18-hour workdays that kept a roof over our heads. She told me that I needed to leave, even though I pay rent and both our kids are asleep. I refused. We slept in separate rooms that night, and the next day she tried to act like nothing even happened, claiming that she remembered we'd fought but couldn't remember what it was about. So I show her the phone records, even though I'm positive she was just trying to pull some crap. She confesses who the individual was and says they flirted a lot but never met up. I told her if that was true, she'd have no issues restoring the text messages she deleted. At which point it was confirmed she deleted everything and deleted her last backup. She also saved a backup after they were deleted the night everything went downhill. Since then, she's tried hard to convince me they never did anything and never saw each other aside from work. I keep finding bits and pieces of things that don't make sense. Chunks of texts deleted from her friends' messages around that time. Pictures on her Google Drive from that night, where she was with who she said she was, deleted from her phone. For what reason? The most damning evidence I have is for a 2-hour period on New Year's Eve. They stopped texting each other, then randomly started texting again at around 3 a.m. when I started calling and got that feeling. My gut tells me she left her friend's place, went to his place and went back. Or she went straight to his place from our place, then went to her friend's when she found out I was calling them. There are even revealing pictures of herself she never sent me, also on her Google Drive taken on Snapchat. She's since given me all her attention. She initiates intimacy tenfold. The texting stopped. She shows me everything on her Snapchat and even downloads her data to show me she's not hitting other people up. I'm seeing the side of her I haven't seen since we were married all those years ago. But I can't help but trust my gut in demanding a divorce. I feel like she's kept things from me. Not knowing for sure is killing me inside. My parents know all of this and keep pressuring me to work it out to not dwell. My brothers are saying F that, get a divorce. Am I wrong in getting a divorce? Keep in mind the dates. It's now been over 4 months since this occurred. I'm positive she cut the individual completely out, but I still can't get over the not 100% knowing, and my gut tells me she's still lying. Edit, if some of this is confusing, ask and I will clarify. I will also give context where needed. Also, sorry for the way this was written. I'm aware there is some jumping back and forth, etc. I'm just scattered brain right now. It's honestly getting to me more now than the night I found out. It just keeps building. I feel stupid. Also, forgot to add this. The individual in question is an employee she manages. As in, she is his direct supervisor. I've heard there are greater legal consequences for this, but I have no idea. For clarification, the individual in question is actually morbidly obese. I'm by no means fit, but I'm not fat either. Went back and looked at the timestamps for the pictures that were deleted of her and her friends that night. On Google Drive, before that 2-hour period of no texting, during and after, there were several pictures taken with verified timestamps on them. As in, they cannot be changed on Google Drive. Whether or not she has a friend that's tech-savvy and was able to do that within the 10 minutes it took her to get home upon confronting, I don't know. Is this possible? It's also worth adding, I come from a family that has thoroughly convinced one of my cousins that she needs to stay in her marriage, even when her husband became solely reliant on her, got addicted to coke, is still addicted and physically abused her. All because, by golly, no one in this family has ever gotten a divorce. So essentially, by doing so, I would get disowned by my parents, my sister, all my cousins, all my aunts and uncles, but would still have the support of my 2 brothers. Now for the top advice before reading the update. She cheated and she still has Snapchat? And still works with a guy? That ain't good, bro. That's the thing though. No one here, including herself, is stupid enough to believe she didn't cheat. The only defense she has is that she consciously deleted their evidence, so he would have to take her word for it. The saying they only flirted is the beginning of a trickle truth. Basically, she will only admit what could be proven. Ironically, she's dooming her marriage by not giving full disclosure. It confirms to OP that as long as she can lie or at least deceive to her benefit, she will. She won't own her mistakes or come forward with her wrongdoing with intent to make it right. She has to be cornered and caught for him to get anything a good partner would willingly volunteer. Just make peace with the fact that getting the truth will be harder than getting a divorce, because she has to be willing to participate in the former but not the latter. Honestly, you should show her this post in the comments. If not, feel free to tell her this. She's love bombing you. She hasn't stopped with that guy. But love bombing will make you think you are all she thinks about. It'll slowly wind down to what it was before, once she thinks she has you back to being clueless. She's met up with a guy. You know she did. Heck, there's enough here to make anyone believe she might have met up with him. What do you think she was crying about? She wanted to be with him for New Year's Eve. Take it from there. You don't know everything. You most likely never will. She'll just hide it better. Yeah, the first part of OP's story is classic narcissist abuse and gaslighting. The second part is love bombing. 98% sure this prediction will come true. Mini update. Currently in morning break at work. Been reading through the comments. I've off tomorrow all day, so I will be heavily weighing my options when I get some time to myself tomorrow. May not update tomorrow, but I'll update y'all when I can. Thank you for all the input, positive and negative. The best thing I can do right now is just get through the work week. Get my kids from daycare and be mentally present for them. I've been ignoring her since last night, and she's been snapping and calling me all morning to see what's wrong. Now for the update. I sit here typing this out in my morning break while listening Tuesdays Gone by Leonard Skinner. After a long day of considering my options on Friday, I sat my wife down on Friday evening when she got off work and I had out the kids to bed. As soon as I brought up that my trust in her was completely gone, she immediately became argumentative and essentially stated, "I thought we had left this in the past. You never trusted me, did you?" I responded with, "Even if you didn't do anything physical or met up with him outside of work, you'll never let me see those text messages. You'll never pull that Snapchat data." She responded with, "You're right, marriage is based off trust. And if you don't trust me, then maybe we ought to call it quits." The irony in this is that I worked 18 to 19-hour days for the past few years, barely being able to do anything I wanted to do in my life because I was supporting our children, getting them to bed, cleaning the house all the time, doing all the cooking, barely even getting enough sleep. Probably took years off my life just from the stress. She on New Year's Eve said, F the kids, F you, and essentially went out to party with her friends, all the while ignoring calls from me and our daughter asking where she was, while also responding to her bare minimum emotional affair partner. Not getting into all the details so as to not repeat myself between this and the update. Long story short, in my state, we have to be separated for a year before a divorce can be finalized. But when I agreed with her that we should start separating and that I had already been in contact with a lawyer, she freaked the heck out on me. She begged me not to go through with it. But alas, next Friday I will be dropping her off at her parents' a few hours away. The kids will be staying with me for now, with the help of one of my brothers. I told her there was only one way I would put this off for now. That was pull the data, pull the texts, prove your case. She looked down at the ground one more time and told me that's a violation of her privacy. We haven't spoken since. For now, for my kids, I gotta keep on keeping on. She knows she can't show you the texts because they prove her affair and how far it went. By not showing you what was being said between them is all the information you need. It was so incriminating she couldn't bear to show you them. You did the right thing. She failed the marriage test and you need to move on and find someone that respects you. Sorry you're going through this. Good luck going forward. When he drops her off at the parents', he should definitely mention to the father-in-law that she can come back and they can out a stop to the process if she just hands over the messages. Edited to add, enough people don't get it, so I'll spell it out. It is a lie, a ruse, a bamboozle if you would. A psychological tactics to turn her parents and her family against her, because it is highly unlikely she would ever mention the texts in any context to her parents or family, as it plainly makes her look guilty. Even if the parents don't believe she cheated, they will become incredibly annoyed by her actions. Best case scenario, she turns over the texts confirming cheating and the divorce becomes crazy easy. Lol, violation of her privacy. Guess that's worse than violating your vows. She knows she cheated and did and said unforgivable things. She knows it would be a divorce. Better to be thought of like this, rather than remove all doubt about her cheating. Her response to the texts tells you all you need to know. She has a guilty conscience, and she darvoed you to make you the bad guy. Exactly. Her response to, okay, prove it, is, you don't trust me. Like, of course he doesn't. She broke the trust once already. She won't admit to how far it went because like was almost 100% physical at the time of him finding out. Second update. Trickle truth. First, it was a guy in a different state. Second, it was a coworker. Third, it was someone underneath her that she supervises. Fourth, and just now, randomly got a text from her stating she may have told him she loves him but instantly regretted it, and that's it. Right. Also, let me reiterate. The process of separation starts this coming Friday. In my state, you cannot divorce immediately. It takes a full year. I say this because of all the people stating just divorce and be done with it, and also those stating stop giving second chances. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my ex-fiance's parents exactly why we broke up and I called off the wedding? So I met my ex-fiance Amy when we were both 27. Right off the bat, we hit it off. Pretty early in our relationship, Amy let me know that she had a pretty wild past. She wanted to be honest and upfront with me. I told her I didn't care, but I did have concerns about whether she was actually wanting to settle down, which I kept to myself. She had told me how her past had caused a lot of strain with her parents, but didn't really go into detail. I pushed all that aside and dove in. We had an amazing relationship. Over the years, I grew pretty close to her parents. I spent a lot of time at their house helping her dad with projects. We'd often all three go out to lunch after. They're wonderful people. After dating for about 3 years, I proposed. Amy was ecstatic, but her parents were even more excited. We had what seemed like a fairy tale engagement. One weekend, Amy's friend Sarah invited her on a weekend trip to Vegas. Now, Sarah was not someone I liked. She was a friend from that time in Amy's life who was a very bad influence. She would pressure her to drink, do drugs, hook up, etc. I heard her call me boring multiple times on the phone with Amy and even told her that she should break up with me a couple times. Kidding, of course. I wasn't thrilled about the idea, but Sarah invited Amy's friend Allie, which made me feel a lot better. Ali was a coworker of Amy's, and we all became really good friends over the years. Ali is one of the kindest and most sincere people that I have ever met. They went to a club one night, and some guys were all over them. They invited the girls to their suite/penthouse upstairs, where they were throwing an after-party. Amy and Ali declined, but Sarah guilt-tripped them into going. During the party, Ali was alone and wanted to go back to their room and sleep. She went looking for Sarah and Amy to see if they wanted to leave or let them know she was leaving. She found them in a room. Sarah was hooking up with one guy and Amy was doing it with two guys. The next morning, Amy begged Ali not to say anything to me, and Sarah said it was her fault. When they got back, Ali told me everything right away. To her credit, Amy did not deny any of it. She said she freaked out about getting married and messed up. I was crushed, but obviously called off the wedding and broke up on the spot. I had not told many people about what happened except my immediate family. This all happened 6 months ago. I saw Amy's parents at a hardware store a week ago. They expressed how sad they were that we broke up. Her mom, who I was close with, asked me what happened. She didn't think I was the cold feet type and could just cut Amy out of my life. I was so confused, but then kind of awkwardly clarified that when she was partying with Sarah, who they knew all about, she decided to cheat on me with two guys at the same time. They were sad but not surprised. They had hoped she was turning a new leaf. About 2 days later, I got a slew of texts from Amy. She was angry that I told them and saw it as a way for me to get back at her by turning her parents on her. She said she gave me everything I wanted in the breakup and apologized a million times, which is true. She moved out immediately, worked out canceling wedding plans, etc. It was a clean break, no drama. That said, her parents were super angry about throwing away our relationship. They told her sister, who Amy always competed with and hated for shaming her constantly. Her parents were pretty well off and gave her sister and my brother-in-law a huge amount of money to get their lives started. They promised the same for Amy, but told her that they were going to just donate it since they don't want to finance her lifestyle. I kinda knew it might happen, but didn't really care. I would have been fine keeping it to myself until I found out she told them that I basically got cold feet and abandoned her. Amy said she always thought I was kind, but it turns out I was a vindictive a-hole. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Cheating has consequences and she's experiencing hers. Yep, she literally effed around and found out. Right? Amy threw OP under the bus. OP cleared his name by telling them exactly what happened. And she's mad? Funny. Not the a-hole. She's just mad that her money is going away. She played a stupid game with a loser who should have never been still in her life and won the prize of losing her future. Agreed. And she very well could end up misusing the funds. Shocked that a 29 to 30-year-old could be this easily influenced by her friends.